UK Chancellor. Rishi Sunak announcing his resignation isn't only the beginning. We've already had the Health Minister as well, who was the previous Chancellor of the Exchequer. Two key quits on the cabinet of Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Bloomberg's Guy Johnson joins us now for, well, thus far, a muted reaction in the pound. But could this mean something for UK assets, do you think, Guy?
We'll wait and see. The pound had already been under significant pressure throughout the day, Caroline. As a result, this doesn't seem to have shaken it. I think we're waiting to see what happens next. Everybody's holding their breath here in London to see whether or not there are further cabinet resignations. Remember, this is the way that Thatcher was ultimately ousted from power. Boris Johnson recently surviving a vote of confidence within his own party, but 40% of his own MPs voting against him. So he's really clinging on at the moment. He'll need to appoint a new Health Secretary and new Chancellor very quickly to shore up confidence in his cabinet. But it is very difficult to see, according to the people I've been listening to this evening, that he will be able to continue for much longer. It is unlikely, Caroline, that he will want to quit. Many people say that he hasn't within him to quit, but maybe Boris Johnson is on borrowed time now. It'll be interesting to see how UK assets do react were he to go. Would it change the narrative around Brexit? Would it change the open hostility that seems to exist between London and Brussels and other European capitals? There is much to play for here, but at the moment, given the macroeconomic backdrop at the moment, I suspect that that is going to be the way that the pound continues to trade, and by extension UK assets. But a fascinating time for British politics, guys. We are waiting. We have bated breath. Will there be further resignations tonight? How much longer can Boris Johnson continue as the British Prime Minister? Taylor.
And you bring up a good point. What would be the timeline, Guy, for that? When would we expect news on that?
We don't know. This is the problem. This gets very woolly in terms of the time frame here. It really depends on how long Boris Johnson wants to continue. There are a number of routes potentially open to us here in terms of removing him. You could see some rules changed on the 1922 committee, which is the backbench committee, which organised that vote of confidence in him recently. In theory, he should have a year, but maybe they could change the rules. But ultimately, it looks like this could come down to the cabinet. And if it happens, it'll happen very, very quickly. The question then will be who ultimately does replace him. What kind of a candidate will replace him, I think, is a really open question at this point. It was interesting to read the Chancellor of the Exchequer's resignation letter, former Chancellor of the Exchequer. He talks about the fact that this could be his last cabinet position. Maybe he would not be in the running. Be fascinating to see who would be.